Hello everyone, Tutu Mora here with The Y, bringing you tools to feel well in your body, mind, and spirit. Today we are going to be using that squishy ball again to relieve some stuck stress and tension in the wrist and in the hand. Now we're going to be following a sort of series of movements that comes from the melt method, which uses this particular sequence to relieve stuck stress in the fascia or the connective tissue in the wrist and the hand. So if you do not have a squishy ball like this, you may have a firm ball, which you are more than welcome to use, but if you do not have a squishy ball, you have the firm ball, take it even more gently with the pressure that we're putting in. So there's no need to really press hard. Hard is not the way to achieve here. Really, the way to achieve is just consistent pressure, even if that is a really light pressure, because some of these spaces, when we hold our phone a lot, when we are doing these repetitive movements with our hands and our wrists, some of these spots can be quite tender. So really taking your time to approach this gently and just, starting off slowly. So, find the props that you have at home and we'll go ahead and get started. And the way we're going to get started here is just by assessing how our hands and our wrists are moving. So I'm going to have you bring your arms and your hands together like so. And when you open from the wrist, hands out to the side, how is that looking for you? Is it a pretty fluid range of motion here? Or perhaps is there a little tightness that we're working with? Perhaps that feels a little bit like this. There's a little bit of rigidity there that we're working with. And so as you take that back and forth, what does that range of motion look like? What does it feel like? And then you can let your arms drop, maybe noticing if simply holding your arms in that position has caused some tension in the shoulders and the upper back. So we're going to go ahead and grab that ball now, and we're just going to start with a little grip assess here. So we're just going to simply grip that ball in one hand, taking a couple squeezes, and then we'll take that to the other hand, noticing which hand feels a little stronger, which feels like perhaps that grip is just not, really getting there, and just noticing that. We're just going to work with where you're at today. So once you have kind of assessed that grip, we're going to just place that ball right in the ball of the hand, and we're just going to press in with that first finger into the ball. Taking that a couple times, moving on to the next one. Now, if you need to use 2 fingers to accommodate that press, or even 3 fingers to make that press happen, just take what you need. Let's move on to that 4th finger. Now I need to use 2 fingers when I press that 4th finger in. It doesn't feel able to do it on its own. And now let's take that to the pinky, and I need to hold the ball here while I let that pinky compress. As well, I need to add that additional finger so that the pinky can do its job here. And that's okay. Let yourself take this in the way that feels doable. And now let's go to the thumb, holding that ball in place if you need to in order to find that compression. And then let's take that over to the other side. So find that initial press. Let's take that to the other side. And then the 4th finger here, adding an additional finger if it feels like that 4th finger can't quite do it on its own. And then let's take that to the pinky. Again, adding that additional finger, or even 2 additional fingers if it feels like it needs that support. And then we'll take that to the thumb. All right, so from here, I'm just gonna tilt my screen down so you can see my hand on a surface. And so we're gonna place that ball on a firm surface, and I'm gonna start with the ball just in the center of my hand here. I'm gonna place that ball gently beneath my hand, and with my other hand, I'm just gonna start to press down nice and gently here, and I'm gonna take a deep breath. Now, especially if you have that firm ball, taking this really gently, because those spots can be quite tender. Let's take that now right under the first knuckle. Just using that top hand to gently press down. Take a deep breath. And then we'll take that to that middle finger knuckle. Using that top hand to just gently press down. We're not trying to really condense that ball. We're really just trying to create some movement in between these knuckles. Let's take that to the fourth finger knuckle. Just a gentle compression here. Deep breath. Release, and then we'll take that to the pinky knuckle, just right underneath the ball of that knuckle. Gentle compression. Deep breath and release. We're now going to take that right to the pad of the thumb knuckle here. And so find that gentle compression. Deep breath. Release. And then we're going to take it to the pad of the pinky knuckle. Gentle pressure here. And release. And then right to the base of the heel of the hand. Deep breath. And release. Now with that ball, we're just gonna glide from the heel of the hand to the thumb knuckle, the pinky knuckle, just back and forth between those two spaces. So I'm just grounding myself in my middle finger here, and I'm gliding across those spaces. Again, just a gentle pressure here, but I want to feel for that consistent pressure as I take it back and forth. And then you can release. And let's take that same thing to the other side. So we're gonna start just right in the center of the hand here, finding your pressure with the top hand coming down. So nice deep breath here and release. And we're gonna take that right beneath that first finger knuckle. Again, gentle pressure, noticing perhaps if this hand feels a little tender than the other. And release. We'll take that right beneath the knuckle of the middle finger. Gentle pressure down. Deep breath. And release. Taking that under the knuckle of the fourth finger. And release. And then same thing for that pinky knuckle. Just taking it down, using that top hand for your compression, leaving the bottom hand relatively relaxed. And release, finding that knuckle in the thumb pad, just that space right about here. Letting that be where that pressure comes in. As you let that top hand just compress gently, take a deep breath. And then we'll find that spot for the pinky as well. Gently compressing as you breathe. And then finding that heel of the hand. Gentle compression. And release. And we'll find that glide now. So taking it from that thumb pad, from the heel of the hand to the pinky pad, just taking it back and forth here across that heel of the hand. So I'm finding my stability through my middle finger here, and I'm just gliding it back and forth. All right, releasing that. And then we're gonna come back to the other hand and we're gonna find that thumb pad spot. We're just gonna place that down here and we're just gonna create an isolated movement, keeping that pressure right at that thumb pad. I've got my stability through my fingers here on this hand, and I'm just little kind of focused movement here. Let's hold that compression, gentle compression, and we're just gonna move the thumb around in a couple circles in one direction, other direction. And then you can pause that thumb, but let's hold that pressure here for just another moment and release. We'll do the same thing on the other side, finding that thumb point. That's where your compression will be. Find that gentle pressure, and then we'll just create that little focused movement. Holding that gentle compression, and we'll take our thumb just a couple times in one direction and a couple times in the other direction. Relax that thumb, but hold that focused pressure here for just another beat, just another breath. And then you can release that pressure. So a couple more things here. All we're gonna do now is we're just going to kind of release some of what we've been shaking around. So with the ball, we're gonna glide from the fingertips all the way down to the elbow, but we're gonna do that with our compression. So starting from the fingertips, moving all the way to the elbow and back, starting with those fingertips and gliding all the way to the elbow tip. Fingertips all the way to the elbow tip. Fingertips to the elbow tip. And let's take that back in the same direction. Consistent pressure. So it's not about the depth of pressure. It's about just the consistency of the pressure, even if it's a super gentle pressure to start. And then let's take that to the other side. So starting just fingertips and gliding across that forearm to the elbow tip. Fingertips to the elbow tip. Fingertips across to the elbow tip. And we'll take just a couple more, making sure you just take it through all those fingers across, down the forearm to the elbow tip. I'm taking a pass through all my fingers twice, but take what you have time for. All right, so last thing that we're gonna do here, laying your palm flat, we're just going to massage out from the wrist down to the fingers, making sure to get that outside of the pinky. Making sure to get that thumb, which carries so much of the movement that we do with our hands. And so from the wrist all the way down to the fingertips. And then we'll take that to the other side. All right, so now before we close here, we're just gonna take that little ball between our hands and we're just going to rub our hands together with that little ball. Doesn't have to be any particular pattern of movement, just keeping that pressure really light. And then you can let that ball rest. All right, so let's bring our hands together once again. just like we did to start, and open them. Seeing how that feels. You might be able to open them a little bit more. Your fingers might be able to be a little bit straighter. It just might be able to feel a little bit more fluid. Let's pick up the ball again and do that little strength test that we did, that grip test. Noticing if your grip feels a lot more accessible than it did to start. All right, so I welcome you to turn back to this video kind of at the end of your workday or at the end of an activity where you're really using your hands and your wrists, maybe even before you attempt to do that activity, like a gardening or a stitching or whatever kind of activity where you really need that mobility through the fingers, through the wrist. So I hope this video helps you out, and I'll see you back here next time on the Wise YouTube channel. Take care.